everybody, welcome back. I hope you've been having a lot of fun working on this tutorial. I'm here again today to bring you yet another part in this little series. I'd like to take this opportunity, if this is the very first time you're visiting my channel, just to say a very warm welcome and hello. I hope that you find lots of inspiration and have a lot of fun doing some of the projects that we've been doing. Now today we are looking at part 5. There are obviously therefore another 4 in the series. I do have a separate playlist for how to make an altered folder, which I have got the link in the description box if you've missed out on any of the previous videos. So just going to quickly update you on where we are and what we're going to do today. So we've covered the cover. We have also covered everything on the side of the folder. So we've done the booklet, the envelopes, and finished off everything there. So we are now tackling this side. So today I'm going to start tackling these envelopes here, and we'll see how far we get, because I don't really want to exceed about 45 minutes. So let's see how we go there. So that's going to be the next step in the process. So I'm just going to put this to the side quickly, and we're going to get going straight away. So let's start with the smallest one. And here it is. So I'll just put that this is really quick and easy. I've used an envelope that is 8 centimeters by 11.5, or 3¼ inches by 4½ inches. So you just need one of those. My one opens like that. It doesn't really matter if it's just a flap, what the flap's going to look like. We're going to cover this, trim this down, and do various things anyway. So if you don't have an envelope, like I always say to you, take a piece of paper and just mock up the sizes that I've given you. I'll bring that closer so you can see. You could also use, if you've got one of those little We Are Memory Maker or one of those envelope makers, you can make an envelope on there as well. So make use of what you have. I don't want you to go out and buy something. Get to the sort of size of 3¼ and 4½. It's not crucial, but a small envelope would suffice. So that's what I just want to mention there. Okay, so we're going to use this as a base. And the first thing we want to do is put something on the cover. Now, you know, I'm using the daisy, the Lazy Daisy and the Daisy bundle, so that's what I'm using. So I've chosen this if you're following along with me, but any image that you want to put on the front of your little envelope is going to work. Now the first thing we need to do before we start sticking anything down is we just want to, because we're going to have a little journal card in here, I just want you to use your scissors or a knife or something and take a very thin sliver of paper off here, and I really do mean thin. So I'm just using my knife because I find that really easy. You could even use your paper trimmer if you have one. So that's all we're going to do, just to make an opening over here. Okay, so that's my suggestion there. So we've got our opening, and now we can find something that we're happy to put onto the front over here. Now I'm going to move this up to the edge as far as I can, just to help protect that little edge there. So I have already inked it up. I don't put much ink on my things anyway, and now we just want to glue that down. So that's quick and easy. Yeah, I double printed this by mistake. Just look at that. You know, when your printer is set up to do two double-sided, and I didn't realize, I have removed that now. It wasn't there before, which is, you know, these computers have a mind of their own, really, don't they? Right, so as I said, want to centralize that, get it as close to the edge as I can, just to protect the edge of my envelope, like that. And we've got the front already done and dusted. So that was really quick, wasn't it? Okay, so we now, this one is a real quick little project, so get you into the mode of things. Right, so what we want to do now is we're going to tackle the back, which is also pretty quick. and the first thing we're going to do is get a little piece of paper. I keep wanting to say fabric. This is also from the kit, so that's what it looks like, but obviously do it in the style that you are doing, and we can stick this down. But of course you're going to have a journal card in here, so just remember to leave that area open. Okay, so if that's the side there, this is the side I need to be mindful of. So the way I do it is I run glue along the edge here like that, and then I do run just a very thin bead of glue just down the center here, just to seal the envelope off, because we're going to use that flap later. Okay, so I am just running the glue onto the envelope rather than the paper in this case. Just so that I don't stick that down, otherwise you won't get your journal card in. All right, so there we go. We can just put that down. Move that over a bit. There we go. Okay, so we've got that all in place. Right, just want to check over here. Sometimes you have a little flap that might catch your journal card. Just make sure you stick that down really well. Okay. Carol, I'm putting the pin on here today. I'm being good, not in the teeth. Oh my gosh. Don't know why I want to put it in my teeth all the time. It's just like the natural response. But it's not a good thing, is it? Because it is, you know, steel. Right. So just making sure my corners are stuck down really well. I don't want to catch the journal card in there. Right, so we've got the front sorted, we've got the back sorted. Now, I've just got one of the little images from my kit. This is slightly narrower than I hoped, but it doesn't matter. I just want a very little pocket in there. So I'm just going to stick that down as well with a little bit of glue. Okay, and then we can just stick that right down. Okay, so we're just about finished with the first little envelope, so we're making good progress here already. All right, so while that's drying, just want to make sure I've got that straight. That's better. Okay, so I'll stop saying okay. I've made a little journal card from the kit as well, backed it onto some recycled card, and then again I've stuck in the tab and sandwiched that in between the two, just so that it doesn't come over my image in this case. Because it's a little card, I don't really want to do that in this on this occasion. So that can just slide in there like that, and that's that side done. Okay, and while that's now dried, we've got a couple of bits that are going to go in here. I've got 3 little bits that will fit. It's a little calendar from 1916. It's all from the kit. I've put them onto recycled card again, and just these 3 little bits that I'm going to just slide in here. Okay, so we've got those 3 little bits. So there's our first little envelope done. So that's perfect. Right, I'll put that aside and let's start on the next one. So the next one we're going to do, we're getting more complicated as we go now. So what I wanted you to do was get a 6 by 6 inch. It's just slightly over 6 by 6, 6 1/8. Square envelope. You can use any other envelope. This is just what I'm using, but the idea here is to have different sizes. So just collect 3 different sizes. As long as one of them is a mailer, that's fine. Or 15.5 by 15.5 centimeters if you're following along with me. All right, so that's what we're going to do there. And the first thing I want to do again is take your ruler, and I have done this, and at the top, so the flaps on the left, take a thin sliver off there as well. So that's going to open up your envelope. All right, so what we want to do is we will start with the, let's start with the back, because the front's got a lot of stuff that's not going to lie flat. So we are going to have a journal card in here, but we're going to put a couple of bits and bobs on here as well. So what I would suggest is just, how did I do this? Just run a very thin sliver, a bead of glue on the edge here. Getting all my words wrong. Which is easily done when you're recording and trying to talk. Okay, so there we have it. And we just stick that down. Okay. Right, now as far as the back is concerned, this is going to be how you use it. So keep your flap to the left, and bear in mind then here's your opening and that's the top. So just the back side of it. I've just taken one of the scraps of paper that we've been using, and I'm not worried how far down it goes because I'm going to stick something over that. So you could effectively really cut the rest off, but again I want to take that as high, as close to the top as possible, just to protect the opening and not leave a little thin edge there that might become worn with you sliding the card in and out. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to cut this down a bit, so let's say about there. Just going to take my scissors, otherwise you just waste paper and glue. Alright, so just going to distress the one edge really and a little bit of the sides, because that's all you're going to see, and then we can go ahead and stick this down. So the weather's turned completely today, and although it's really over cloudy, it's very muggy, so not too good. Luckily I just got my washing in time, because I see it's starting to drizzle. So one of my subscribers was telling me, I think it was Marietta, that about the heat wave that they're having, and that's just, oh, I don't like the heat. I'd rather have the cold. I'm thinking of you, Marietta. Right, so as I said, just want to match that up to the very top edge as much as I can, just to protect it as far as giving it a double layer of paper. Okay, so there we go. We've got that sorted. And now what we have in that kit, there was an envelope. So it looks... Abby, sit down and get your Nemo. Get your toy. So in the kit there is a envelope that looks like this, and I've just printed on the inside as well, and it looks like that. So it's quite plain, but it's fine. What I wanted to do was stick that, because it worked pretty well to stick that over there like that. So I'm going to stick it down on 3 sides. So let me first just seal it quickly, very quickly. Abby's got a new toy. I bought her. Her favorite toy is Dory, the Disney Dory from Finding Dory. But and she takes that with her, sleeps with it in her mouth, just in case we decide to take it from her. She's not having a bar of it, so she's had that one for about 2 years, and I saw that there was a Nemo, also a dog toy with a squeaky in it, and she loves squeaky toys, so I got her the Nemo. So now I see Dory's left on her own for once, and now she's got Nemo. So poor Dory. So she's sleeping with the Nemo in her mouth now, just in case I think it crosses my mind to nick it from her, which she's not having it. Bless her. She's got more toys than a toddler, I promise you. and every day I have to go round and pick them up because obviously I can't negotiate with a dog to pick up the toys. It's just so funny. But yeah, she's an absolute little angel, really she is. Okay, so we've stuck that down on 3 sides, as you saw me do, like that, so that we have now got a pocket behind our envelope. So we've got an envelope, a pocket behind our envelope, and we're going to have a tag. So there's lots going on here, lots going on. Okay, so there we go. You can put something in that envelope. That's up to you. Now I'll leave the tags till the end because I want to decorate the front first. So we're going to turn that over, and the picture that I've chosen for the front is one of the double pages. Now if you have a look over here, because this is quite wide, it exceeded the middle of the page. So what I've done is, and I'll show you how I've compensated, and then we're none the wiser when we actually do it. You would never even have known. But I really like this picture. So I'm going to stick that down on the front there. Now, if you're copying what I'm doing, or, you know, in the same style, I have stitched mine already. It's like faux stitched with a machine, but that's just my style. It's not a requirement. It's just what I do, as I keep telling you. And I say that because people often will send me a note to say, well, not everybody has a machine. So that's why I keep saying that. It's just my style of doing things. So I'm always going to sew. That's just who I am. And I just apologize about that if that's not acceptable to you. All right, so I do always try and give you the alternatives though, and spell out when it's not required. So that is definitely still going to happen. Right, so I'm going to stick that down. We don't need to worry about any pockets or anything. You'll be glad to know. So let's get that down. Yeah. It's so good to be on leave, ladies. But also working does give you structure. And I think I was saying this to somebody as well, that I do have to think now what day of the week it is, as I don't need to really be or do anything, you know, there's not much going on, and I do need to think, what day is it? I'm sure you can relate. Right, so we're going to stick that down. I'm not worried about going to the top. We're going to put some bits on there, so that's fine. I'm just trying to get this all lined up as best I can. Right. And just use my hand, best tools to do this. Okay, right, so we've got that all sorted. Now what I did for the top was, and you know, I know you all don't have die cut machines or embossing machines, so please use trim, whatever you have. I've just used this crochet die from Tim Holtz, and a scrap of paper, and I'm just going to put that on there. I quite like that, so I'm just going to run a bit of glue on there quickly, and then I just want to put some over just the bottom end. I mean, this glue does dry clear, so there's no worries about that. Oh, Abby's attacking the Nemo now. Right. Must be a submissive thing or something. She doesn't destroy the animals. She isn't like that, but bless her. She is an absolute blessing. Right, so we've got that all intact. And then I do take a little bit of trim. So I've just got this washi tape lace, which is a beautiful crocheted cotton. And it's so easy to use. But just use any lace, any trim. You can use double-sided tape. That works as well. And I'm not going to replace this when I run out of this. I will be using my double-sided tape, which I have loads of. So I'm going to just trim that off there. And pull that off. And I'm just going to turn this so that I can see what I'm doing. And this is going to go right to the edge, and this will help reinforce the edge of your envelope as well, because we don't want these things to look too scruffy after 5 minutes. We want them to have a little bit of longevity, don't we? Right, so we've got that edge cut off there, and there we go. Right, so all I want to do now for this is, as far as decoration is concerned, I've got a couple of die cuts. Again, that's one that I've had from a scrap. And then I've got my 2 daisy ones, which are looking like that. One is green and one is like very light ivory yellow. Lemon, I should say. And I'm just going to rearrange those on here. So I think I'm going to just have this. This is where it sort of masks this area here. Now you can use, as I keep saying, use fussy cuts if you don't have this die or die cut machine. It will work exactly the same and be very pretty. So I suppose mine is really the lazy route if you think about it. Right, I'm going to just arranging these there quickly. And I'm probably going to speed this up because it can be quite laborious. So unless I think of something exciting to say. Okay everyone, so I've stuck those down and it's sort of masked that area there of the page, as I said. So that's how I overcame that. Now that all I need to do is I stuck a little butterfly on there. So just taken one of these that I found. And as I said to you, I got a lot of them off. You can get these off Pinterest if you are wanting to do this for your own purpose. So I just stuck that down there like that. Okay, and I probably will end up putting a pearl, but they are upstairs, so I will put a little pearl on there as well. Okay, so that's the front of that envelope, and I'm happy with that. That's the back of the envelope. And I'm just going to turn that over because we finished with that. And then what I put in here was 3 cards that we've got this postcard, and I've backed that onto card. And then again, another little, all 3 pieces from the kits, and a daisy one there. So I'm just going to slide that in there like that. And it doesn't matter that it comes up because your tag's going to exceed that area anyway. And then it's just some 3 pieces like that. Just all I do want to move is away from the bend here. Okay, so you can slide something in the bottom here with pleasure. So, for example, if you're wanting to put one of these cards, you can slide that in there as well. Okay, so that's that side. And then as far as the tag is concerned, I'll talk you quickly through that one. Here's the tag that I've made, and I didn't want to bore you with all the sticking and the sewing and everything. I thought I'd just talk it through quickly. This is the very big tag in this size. It comes in the kit, the back here. I've just taken this image here and stuck that on the top and stitched around it. Okay, so that's all I've done here. I've put in a large brad and a little bit of seam binding. You can put ribbon in. So that's what I'm going to do here. It's a nice big tag to write on. So that's what it slides into this area here. But there are just a couple of things I did to it. So I took one of my little offcuts of lace, and I'm going to just stick that on the corner there just to give it a little bit of added dimension. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue because I'm downstairs. The rest of the house are still asleep. Well, Paige is asleep, so I didn't want to disturb her, so I'm just doing this downstairs. Right, so we're going to just stick that on the end there like that. And then I've just taken a little flower, sewn one of my mother of pearl buttons in the middle like that. And I'm going to just stick that, where am I going to stick it? Just over there, like that, really. Maybe a little lower, yeah, like that. Right, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just do that quickly, which is really easy. And we will just stick that maybe a little higher. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to go too low because it's going to catch on the envelope. That's the reason for that. Okay, so there we have our tag, and we've just put a little bit extra on it. And that's going to then go into our envelope opening over here, like that. And it does stick up a bit. Oops, that was a bit too far. And this is not quite dry yet. So let's just have it like that for the moment. And then I will push it further down. That's, I think, about where I had it. In fact, it was a bit higher than that. I'm just looking at my other one. Okay, so there we've got that all sorted. And there we've got that all sorted. All right. So 2 out of 3. That's not very, not bad at all. And the way we're going to layer these up, I will show you at the end. So that one will, it doesn't go on here. So there's no point me showing you that. All right. Okay, so let's get on with the third envelope. So we're going to use a mailer, as I said. And this is, in this case, 8.75 inches long and 4.25 wide. So if you're working in centimeters again, then we're looking at 22 by 11, and you just need the one. All right, so that's what we're going to use here. It's got a flap on the back, and that's fine. And we're going to keep the flap to the left-hand side, as we have done with the other two as well. Now, the first thing that I did here was actually to deconstruct this. And that just requires, you can use your bone folder, but I have left it upstairs, so I'm just going to use my ruler, hopefully. And very carefully, I'm just going to disassemble this envelope, because I have found it to be far easier to work with it like that. So we will be reconstructing it at the end. Okay, so there's that. And then the other thing that you need to do is to very carefully remove the window, which we will stick down again. So we want to just remove that. And that's not always so easy to do. Sometimes I break the window, but you can always use acetate, vellum, or any of that if you feel you've ruined it and you can't use it. So luckily this one's working all right today, which is great. So I'm going to just leave that. I'm going to take it off. All right, so hang on to that. If you've kept it intact, you're going to need it. The reason I'm doing this is it's far easier, I think, to do it this way for making a window, especially if you do not have a die cut machine. So I'm doing this for people that don't have a die cut machine. So the way I go about that is, first of all, we want to, after all that, we want to again take a very thin sliver off the edge of that paper there. So just want to do that again. This is going to separate the envelope, but don't worry about that. Everything comes back together in the end. So, oh, what's happened here now? Just do this very carefully. There we go. So we've got that removed. So you should have a separate back here now, like that, and we will get to that in a minute. Now what I do here is I'm going to take this paper to actually cover this front here. So get the piece of paper that you're going to use, and again I'm going to try and make it as close to the edge as possible, like that pretty much. All right, so that's what we're going to do. But before we stick that down, we want to make use of the window, and this is why I have actually done what I've done. So the way I do it is lift the two flaps up, position it where you would normally want to stick it down, close those flaps, or just grip your paper and turn it over like that. Okay, and now your window's removed, so what you can do is you can run your pencil around this very slowly and gently, just so that you stay within the lines, like that. And now you've got the exact position for your window. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, this is why I'm enjoy a good Stanley knife. It's very useful. And then what we're going to do is very gently, we're going to just cut almost to the corner before the bend on every side. I'll tell you, these Stanley knives are invaluable, not only for DIY. I don't use this for DIY, but I did get it at a DIY shop because of all the craft uses it has. So that is just amazing, and I do use it for so many things, and it's not expensive at all. Right, now I'm just going to go really slowly around one of the corners, just to loosen one of the corners so I can get my scissors in there. And I'm going to use that piece. That's why I'm encouraging you to do it carefully. And then just very carefully, just hold your scissors and move your paper around and loosen it from the corners, just like that. So you're just moving your paper around like that. Okay, so we've got that piece, and we are going to use that piece, so put it aside. Right, there we have the opening for our envelope, and that should fit pretty perfectly where you want it, and it does. So we can go ahead and stick that down. Right, now before I stick this down, I do just want to say that if you're not going to be doing some messy stitching around the window, then make sure you do go right to the edge of the window. All right, and that goes for the rest of the areas as well. So I'm just lining this up with the frame here, like that. And that looks about right. And there we have a very easy way, especially if you don't have a die cut machine or you struggle. That's the way I would suggest that you tackle that. Now what we want to do now is quickly stick our window back on. So we'll do that. Now you don't have to go and stitch around this window at all. You really don't. Need to move it over a bit. Okay, so I am going to do that. So I will be back with you in a second. What I'm going to do here is just before I join the back on is just do a little bit of messy stitching around that window. Here you can have a look and see. I've just gone around there about once or twice just to make a little bit of a decorative side, and that's it really. Okay, so now it's time just to fold those flaps back in, and let's just stick on our back of our envelope again. Okay, happy with that. Right, so we've put it all back together again, and what I'm going to do now is just let that dry off for a second before I go any further with that. And what I've done now is I've made a tag. So I've used this image here, which is in the kit, and I love it. It's got a few blues in there with the daisies and everything. So again, I've sandwiched the tab, sorry, in between the card and the actual image, just so that it doesn't stick all over the daisies there. And now what I want to do is, once you've done that and got your card ready, it's going to go into our little sleeve here and line up with what we have in the window there. So that's what it's going to be. Now get it positioned as far down as you care to. Leave a little bit of a leeway, just so that you're not going to have to struggle to get it in, and leave it like that for the moment, because now what you want to do is you want to have a look here and see where that card ends, and then add on a good 1/2 centimeter or 1/4 of an inch, and just make a little mark there for yourself. And I'm just checking I've got enough space here, and that's about there. And I just want to line this envelope up on here, and I'm going to take my ruler and my pencil, look for my mark, and I think that's about straight. And with my pencil, I'm just going to make a pencil mark on top of this, and the reason for that is I'm now going to stitch across here. If you aren't going to stitch, you can easily open up your envelope at this point, because it's not sealed on either side, and just run your glue along there, along the line. But I would suggest that you draw a line on the inside if that's the way you're going to do it, just to give it as a guide. That's what I would do. I'd do that in there. All right, so if you're going to just glue it, then that's what I would suggest you do. But we have our mark on the top there. That's going to be the pocket then for this, and you can see it's got plenty leeway, but I will be stitching here, and that's why, and I will be stitching there. So what I'm going to do upstairs quickly now on my machine is run a stitch across there, down there, back down there again, up there and there, and that's going to make a pocket over here and a pocket over here. All right, so here we have it. You can see that I have stitched along there, and there. So I've got a separate pocket there to the pocket over there, and then on that edge as well. Okay, so that's where we are at the minute. Now I'm going to turn that over. You can see it better probably on that side. And I'm going to take my wallpaper, or another piece of paper that you guys have, and I'm going to stick that over there. Okay, so that's the side I wanted, to make sure I've got it the right way up. Put it right against this flap here, just to give it some support. So right up against this edge here. And then we just want to make sure it's straight. And then we can just line that up nicely. Okay, so we've got a nice flush edge there now. And just want to distress that quickly. Okay, so we've got the back on here. I'm happy with that. And now what I did on the back here was I had an actual notepad that I made, and I've made this from tea stain paper. I just took 2 sheets, measured the width that I wanted, and I have then got them all together. So I think I had about 12 pages, and then I have just put them all together and I stitched across the top there. If you don't want to stitch, you can glue them, that's fine too, or hand stitch them. And then I've just you can see I've stitched on the underside straight across, and then I've just stuck a little bit of washi that I had that sort of embraced the colors I'm working with, and I'm going to just glue that on the back here like that. So you've got, and I've stamped a little image. You've got a nice little notepad there that you can make some notes on. So you can use double-sided tape, glue, whatever you have, and I'm going to just glue that down at the top here. So just make sure you've got it straight like that. Okay, and then all I did with that was took another piece of this washi, fabric washi. I'm going to stick that straight across there like that. So that's really quick and easy. We'll just, it's easier for me to see this if I do it on the side like that. And then I just had a little flower that I've sewn onto a paper flower with a little button, and I'm just going to put that onto the corner here just to finish it off. So we've got that over there. Right, so there's that one. I'm going to leave that over like that, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's decorate this up so then we can get on to the final little piece. This I will speed up, but what I've done is I've just taken, again, a couple of my little die cuts that I'm going to just arrange here. And I did do a little blue one as well, just to bring out some of the blue that's in that image. So here's the image, here's our little tag. So you'll do whatever sort of works with your design. So you can see there's a little bit of blue, green, yellow, and that's really what I've got over there. So I just want to cut that one off right there so I know where I'm gluing, and I'm going to quickly just arrange these and probably speed this up. So there we have the flowers all stuck down, and I like the way that the petals are just coming over and sort of making that part of the image. Then as usual for me, I have just taken two little butterflies, really little ones, and I'm just going to stick those quickly down here. So we'll have one like that. Sort of just brings it all together for me, really. Now, what would I have a project about butterflies for, you know? So we've got that one over there, and I've now lost the blue one. Here it is. Okay, so here's the little blue one. And we'll just stick that one down there. Okay, and I will probably put pull buttons on those as well. Okay, so that's where we are here. Now all that is left to do is, first of all, I wanted to take a notch, a thumb thingy out of here. So I'm going to do that quickly. Not much of a one, but oops, just a bit of a one like that. Okay, so there, that's all ready. And now what I want to do is just really quickly talk you through how I make this little setup that I showed you. Okay, so what I did first of all was, that little piece from the window is one of the bits that we're going to use. And what you need to do is either take your hole punch here and cut a hole in it, or your die cut. Yeah. I did cut out a scrap from one of my Edith Holden pages, and I've just backed it onto card and put an eyelet in it. And this is 4 3/4 lengths in length, inches, and 1 3/4 inches wide. So that's like 4.5 centimeters by 12. So that's the base for that, and that's easily done. If you have a plain piece, you can put a fussy cut on there as well. Then for the very top piece, I've just taken a scrap of one of the scraps we've had from one of our pages. I've stitched around it, put an eyelet in, and used one of my field note stamps. You could put a little label on there from like Tracy Fox or something. This is 7.5 centimeters, which will be 3 inches, I think. Yes, and it's like a 1/2 inch wide or 15 mil. So that's what I've done with that, and that's going to be the bit on the top. So I thought I would just talk you through how I do the rest. Okay, so here's the piece that we were talking about, and I've cut out a little hole there. Now the hole that I have cut out, I've actually is what I use for the charm, and that I've just put a little butterfly on. It's got card on the back, and I've put a tiny eyelet in there, and that's the charm that we put on the front. So that's why I didn't get to that before I got to this point. It comes from the middle there. All right, so this is now the bit that comes from there. So that we're using all those bits and pieces. Right, so you've got that all cut out and you're ready to go. Now what you need to do is a couple of things. I've got a tiny little piece of acetate here, and I'm going to use that as a window and stick that on the back there. So I'm going to do this one slightly different from the one I did before. Just want to stick that down. Now don't sew around the little framework itself. I'm only going to sew around the edges. So stick down your acetate. Oops, just like that. You don't want to get glue on the acetate. Oh, I've got gluey fingers now. So rub that off if you can with your nail. It always works. All right, so once we've got that, my hands are full of glue. We'll let that dry for a minute. And then what we're going to do is we want to take this is a tea stain piece of paper that I'm going to use to back my other piece there, and I'm going to stick this down on here. So what I need to do is ascertain where exactly I need to stick that. So if that's at the bottom, oh well, that's pretty good, that's where I need it to be. So I'm going to just keep that spot there, and I'm going to just do a little mark there and a little mark here, just so that I know where to stick it, because you know, you never know these things when you, or have a bigger piece of paper so that you don't have that problem. You know, mine is like a small piece here now, so I have made a problem for myself. Right, so, and then we want to just get that lined up with our spots. Like that, make it a little bit straighter, I think. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so we've got our little image here, and we are going to now position that in the right place and stick that down. So if you're wanting it to be clear right through, then you would just sandwich your butterfly in between two pieces of acetate, and then you would put on a backing as well, and that becomes a little bit more trickier, but easily done. All right, so right, so there we go. We've got that lined up very nicely. Okay, and then it's just a case of trimming that all off, and I'm not going to do that now. Wait for it to dry. I've got another one to show you in process. All right, so we'll leave that one over there. And so we've got our base tag, we've got our top tag, and the one that I have dried is over here. And you can see I've just put in an eyelet, just stitched around the edges and distressed it ever so slightly. That one will then go on top there, and that one is going to go on the top there. Grab yourself a bit of a tie. I've got a nice creamed color sari ribbon. So I'll just thread all three through the ribbon like that. And then we are going to just tie that together at the top there like that. And I think I did make a knot as well. Make it at the top. Okay, so there's your sari ribbon, and there are your three little tags. Okay, so I like to pull the knot a little bit forward like that. So there you have your 3 little tags, and those are going to slide into your little pocket at the top here. There we go. Okay, so that's that. All right, so we've managed to get through all of those envelopes. I am sorry it's a little bit longer. I have tried to eliminate as much of the unnecessary stuff as possible. So we've got that one. We have this one that we did, and we've got these. And I will, at the very last part that I do of this, I'll show you is actually when we put it all together. So we're getting all our components together. And the very last thing is putting it together. So I hope you stick through with me to the end. We need everything in place before we can do that. All right, so thank you everybody. Thank you ever so much. Love watching what you guys are doing and creating. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. Absolutely lovely. Beautiful themes, beautiful paper choices. Loving the comments. So until next time, I'll see you very soon. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.